How you guys doing? It's the one and only DJ Malone, man. Side-Town of a Radio. I'm doing this for you guys, and because we're starting out the year out pretty good, man. We got my guy Chris Montgomery. How you doing today, bro?
Spectacular. How about you?
How was your New Year's?
You know what? It was low key. Stayed home, did everything with the family. Instead of champagne, we had milkshakes.
Hey, I ain't mad at that, man. And we definitely want to get and talk about everything you got going on, man. So I want to talk about Chris for a second. Talk to us about you, the basic 411. How did you get started into golfing? Because and what I learned is you're from Chicago, just like I am. So how did you get into that?
It's actually a long story, but I'll try to make it short. Went to college at Northern Illinois. Okay. Played football up there. And my first real introduction was golf class. Literally in the summer, you take those summer school classes and we're trying to do the football workouts in. And I had no interest in it, honestly. Okay. It wasn't until, so I went to college in Northern Illinois. I graduated, went to the Sears Management Training Program, realized I loved being in sports, found my way back, got a job with the Phoenix Suns. Oh. It was there where I was the only man in the office, like 3 days a week, where all the other people were out and I couldn't figure out where they were doing. And they were all playing in these golf tournaments. Being an athlete and having a bit of an ego, I told people, man, if I played as much golf as you guys, I'd be great. They put me on a PGA tour. And so I eventually learned that they were making sales out of those deals and my job was sales related. So I picked up the game and man, I fell in love with it. It was all of the competition part. It just encompasses you. When you get out there, you're, mano a mano, I'm going against myself. I'm not playing against anybody else. Of course, the other guys on the course, but if you do all the things right, you win. And so I started falling in love with it. I practiced and it started introducing me to all kinds of people. I played golf with, some of my sports heroes. Although I played football in college, I'm a basketball guy. Elgin Baylor was a guy I got a chance to play golf with. Cool. I played golf with, now since then, guys like Ray Allen and Jimmy Jackson and Steve Nash, all these different guys were playing this game. And when I was working at the NBA, the Phoenix Suns at that time, I took that job, like I said, after I got out of college, after doing the Sears thing. Once they got me there, I didn't realize all those guys were playing golf. And falling in love with the game and seeing who it was introducing me to. My favorite story is one day it was probably 96. I was playing in a foursome behind Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Roy Green, and one of the guys at the golf course. And this was when Barkley was good. He shot like an 85 or something. And I was behind him. I started doing the math. I'm like, man, if I par the threes and the fives, I could beat Charles Barkley. So I really went after it then when I had a little goal. And since then, it just introduced me to so many people and given me so many opportunities to spend time and get to know people and also do things that and go places and see things I've never seen.
I think golf is one of those things where it's the only sport where you can really conduct business, because there's been times now I've lived I had a foster family in Houston and they lived on a golf course. Now I'm not good at golf by any means. I'm a great caddy. You ever need me, I'm good at that. But it's always been, I feel like my dad, my foster dad, he was a golf guy. And it was amazing to me how you can actually build a bondship within those courses and holes and everything. By the end of it, he done struck a deal with some of the key players. So do you think golf in its entirety, one, do you think it's is a good form of therapeutic? And then do you think it's a good way to build up networking?
Well, I'm going to tell you the 5 things I think it does right away is, number one, it teaches you a lot about yourself, because I'm an impatient guy out there, and I think I can do everything perfect. And golf teaches you to slow down, take your time. It also teaches you all the other life lessons. Like you're not good at anything the first time. Yeah. I've talked to my kids and getting frustrated playing a video game. Hey, the first time you tied your shoe, you couldn't do it. right? Now you do it without thinking. So it teaches you some life lessons about those kinds of things. The other thing it does is it allows you to spend time and forces you to ask good questions and listen to people. Oh, we're all quick to want to make an opinion and share our thoughts, but golf gives you an opportunity to listen to people, hear their stories. And at the end of the day, it's about relationships. I mean, I hate that cliche, but it's true. My job when I was with the Phoenix Suns was sales, sales, sales. And then I got into managing the floor seats for them for about 9 years. And, I had nothing in common with guys like Rob Walton from Walmart. I got nothing in common with guys like John McCain. But when you're doing the thing at the job at the Suns, the one thing we could talk about is, did those guys come back from trips? And most of my floor seat holders, not John McCain, of course, but most of my floor seat holders played golf. And so we have nothing in common. I'm some poor kid from Chicago, and these guys are, billionaires and millionaires, but they could tell me about their golf thing and I could relate.
Yeah.
So golf was another way to relate across socioeconomic lines. And what it does really is it does give you kind of a time to be with yourself, when you practice and do those things and learn so much about who you are and how you can control yourself. And more importantly, how to relate to other people, because you have no choice, man. You're out there for sometimes if you do 9 holes, 2 hours, or sometimes 18 holes, it's 4 hours. You're going to have to learn how to relate to people. And it teaches you so many good lessons that I recommend strongly for people to pick it up and then try it.
Definitely, man. And what I like about it, and before we go into any deeper, what I like about it is that golf at one point in time, it wasn't a sport for African Americans. You know what I'm saying? And when I mean by that is it wasn't popular. The biggest notice that we had is Tiger Woods. And now look how much that transcended, even just from the 90s, how much that's transcended. Now is golf is I think it's just as important as any other sport, or is it's being taken seriously as any other sport.
And look, I think now, so more than ever for African Americans, this sport's valuable because it allows people to get to know you, right? You're not some black person, right? You become Chris, or what I mean. It's important now more than ever. And you know what? You're right. It wasn't a popular thing back then, but I'm telling you, I started working for the Suns in '94. The Phoenix Suns. I'm gonna tell you what, a good percentage of the black players were playing basketball or playing golf. Those guys were playing golf, and the football guys that would come to the games, they were playing golf. I mean, out here in Phoenix, we got Larry Fitzgerald, Patrick Peterson. Those guys play golf. Charles Barkley is real popular, but I would say a good percentage of our team, the Suns team back in the '90s, was playing golf. You just never heard about it, man, until Tiger came, and that's the one thing that I've been truly disappointed about while working here, is they're just not showing that. You're now getting to see Steph Curry get out there, right? But I'm telling you, there's plenty of minorities playing this sport. You just don't see it.
That's what I love about it. Is like anybody could play it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because like I told you, I'm not good at it, but it's a good time regardlessly. You get what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people, when it comes down to golf, it's a form of, I think, like I told you, therapeutic. People can relate. It's a good way to talk to somebody that, if let's say you're in a foursome and you're with a guy that you never got to talk to before, now you guys are kind of actually forced to kind of talk to each other now.
Yeah.
So now that's your window.
Yeah, well, again, it helps you refine one of the most important skills, which is asking questions, and listening. If you get those things done, I mean, think about it. You can play it for forever, right? You can play it till we have guys in our membership here in Arizona that are 90 something playing. You can play it forever. It's exercise, gets you outdoors, mentally stimulating. It's good. It's good for you in so many different ways. And it's not super strenuous. Let me be honest, because I am not I'm not getting out there and doing sprints or anything like that I used to do with basketball or playing football or even, softball. I mean, it's less strenuous than that, but more challenging mentally.
I definitely, okay, yeah, there we go. I definitely hear you on that, man, because it's a mind thing. It's because whenever I was doing it, I had to learn about the drivers, about, which one is good to putt with, which one is good to whenever you're in the fair, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely, it is a mind thing, but I wanted to talk to you and kind of bring this around as well. How did you gain the appointment as the first African American board member to the Arizona Golf Association? Because that's a big deal, man. So how did that come about?
So I actually work for the Arizona Golf Association. The board you're talking about is the IAGA, which is
Okay.
the National Association of Golf Associations. And ultimately, that is the organization, I would say, that helps golf associations across America be better, right? So I started working with them because they have a big conference each year on their program committee. What I was noticing is they didn't have a lot of programs that help people focus on results,
Mm-hmm.
because the associations have always been focused on tournaments and not so much focused on businesses and how to function as a business.
Okay.
My specialty is on the communications and marketing side. So what I started doing was offering some of the suggestions and ideas I had gotten from my time at the NBA and the arena conference meetings, and I brought those informations and of course all my contacts that I had in sports to the meetings. The meetings are located all over the country, and by introducing people from Major League Baseball, NFL, and NBA into these meetings, golf associations were able to take an opportunity to see how marketing and communications will operate in the Big Five.
Mm. I think what you learned, like you said, what you learned from with the Phoenix Suns and everything, and then I just in life in general, because I always thought that the best experiences is life experiences. The best things that you go through, that's gonna help you broaden out whatever the case may be. And now you're in this position, and from being as a African American, do you think that is there a pressure that you need to apply, or do you ever feel pressured like, okay, well, can I do this? It's too much for me to chew, or how do you feel?
So that question, you'd be surprised. That's the toughest question, right? So I grew up, uh, I'm mixed. My mom's Greek and my dad's African American, and I grew up primarily in a mixed community. But my high school was primarily white. So you grow up and you learn to adapt. And my mentality at that time was, I'm as good as everybody else, and I would just work hard and try to show that. I never thought in a million years to consider myself a representation,
Yeah.
right, of Black people. And so as I was aspiring and trying to meet some of my own personal goals, the thing I wasn't aware of and I did not pay enough attention to was what you just mentioned. What am I doing to stand out there and let other African Americans know this is possible?
Yeah.
That, we we're so we're given a narrative that's so limited, and it's just not true. And so the more examples we can do and have to show that that narrative isn't true, it's important. So in this particular case, yes, I do feel a certain amount of pressure, but nothing, um, not so much so that I'm not going to be myself, meaning that I feel like I'm intelligent. I feel like I went to school like everyone else. And if you share the things that you love and you're passionate about, it comes through.
Yeah.
And the more people that you can show this to, who are African American or any other minority, the better chances that we'll see more people trying to do this, right?
Yeah.
I tell people all the time when we were doing all this craziness during the George Floyd time that, growing up, I didn't see a Black person on a commercial till like 1975. And I
Mhm.
think that was during Soul Train. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was WGN. I'm from, WGN, Soul Train. Until it was late. And so I understand better, how important it is to have people out there doing these jobs and standing up and talking about it and being out front. And so I am going to do everything I can to be out front more with the IAGA committee. I volunteer as much as I possibly can. I reach out. I literally was on a phone call before with you with another executive director from a golf association, sharing some of my knowledge with him. I volunteer as much information and to be available as much as possible so people can get more comfortable with someone who looks like me and me. I think it's important.
And I guess that kind of answered my next question that I was going to ask, because as a new member, how do you contribute, or how do you want to contribute? And I guess you kind of summed it up right there and everything. And I think it's a very special thing, and I guess a lot of times when we're in positions, sometimes we don't like, we get it, but we don't understand it in the how big it is.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Until
Right.
hindsight. So I think right now what you're making is you're making a landmark, and then in the future you're gonna look back and it's like, yo, that was a major time.
Right.
That was a big wave and stuff, man.
Well, it's interesting you say that. When I worked with the Phoenix Suns, there was a newspaper article guy came working. I was the only African American working for that NBA team at the time that didn't used to play there.
Yeah,
I was the only non-player. And now you go back and you look at the team, you look at all the teams, all the NBA teams, because they have got all the guys in different positions. They have men and women. A girl named Janita Johnson was just named business president of the business operations of a soccer team, MLS soccer team. And I worked with Danita at the Suns way back when. And so you're starting to see some of this, like you said, some of the, well, I like to call it an avalanche of things happening because people have gone through it and proven not only that they could do the job, that they were good people. They were no different than the guy that someone grew up with, because that's the important thing, right? People only hire people they're comfortable with. Exactly. And so you got to make people more comfortable. No one likes to not be themselves, but the reality is some places you just have to, the saying is when in Rome, right? Yeah. Sometimes when you got to be like you're in Rome, and that's okay, man. You're not selling out. You're just trying to fit in so you can then make your mark. And I think that's okay.
Being a chameleon, that's what I would say. It's because I've been, like, I'm from the South Side, so I know how to be in that environment, but I also know how to morph myself and be in the environment of. I've been in situations where I DJ'd at the Soldier Field, and that was an accomplishment for me. I've been in places where there's been high execs and top tier people there, and I know how to navigate and everything. And it's like you said, once you can be who you are, but also know where you're at.
Oh, that's great.
That's the big thing.
I like to know where you're at. Now that I'll make a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because that's true. I mean, really understand your surroundings is the key. It's tough. A lot of times things are kind of forced upon us, right? We talked about all the craziness that happened, with the police violence and things and how we have to act and react. And we've all been taught since, you and I both, I'm not that, you're a lot younger than me, but, growing up, we were taught how best to act around police and things of that nature. It's when they go out of their way, right, that made it different and made people so upset, is because most of us follow the rules and know where we're at, right? Understand the situation and circumstance. And so we try to avoid things like that. So I think what's great is that when you understand you're going into a different world or different category of people, that you understand they're just as uncomfortable as you might be.
Exactly. And let me ask you this then. What do you think foresees as one of the biggest challenges for the Arizona Golf Association? What do you think the biggest one that you see?
For Arizona or the IAGA?
I guess for both. We can do both.
Okay. Well, that's the IAGA one's harder, but for the Arizona Golf Association, is continue to modernize, continue to represent, all the different people that are playing, and do a better job of showcasing them. Okay. Right. I think that's really important, is that people they see people like them doing things like this. For the Golf Association, the IAGA, I think the most important thing is, again, continue to find ways to modernize, which includes diversity, but also diversity of ideas. The Golf Association all of them need to consider women as well, other than just men of color. And because the more ideas, man, the better we're going to be. The more people involved, if we can get some ideas and vet those out, the better off organizations are going to be. It's a shame when you see things and you see the same type of people continue to get hired for the same type of jobs. It's just a shame because nothing changes. and I'm going to be political for a second. Look at politics. Until we started getting some young people in there, it's the same old, same old. And so it's nice to see some shakeups with some younger people with new ideas or a fresh perspective, because you have to change or you die, you know?
Yeah, it's the evolution, man. You can't just sit there and because I can pass the baton to my son, but my goal is that I teach my son enough to where the evolution that he takes over. If I can't make it to a certain point, I teach my son what I know, and he could take it over and revolutionize it to a whole nother level.
What we need to do always, including myself, and I try to do this every day, I try to do something that betters my mind every day.
Mhm.
If it's reading, business articles or industry articles, I try to do that. I try to keep up with current events. All these things take time, and it also take a commitment. We got to commit. I like you understand this better than anyone. You just don't learn 60s. You got to go look it up. You got to research it. You got to do those things, and so you got to commit to being a better person. And I think that's part of what my goal here with the IEJ is, to remind people we got to commit to be better people, and maybe show and demonstrate what that takes and what that looks like.
Do you think that people, and maybe this is more of a younger generation, but I see it in a lot in the younger generation, is that it's they don't have that real gritty go get it mentality. It's more of an entitlement type of deal, I guess. Do you feel that?
I say it a lot. I say that same term to my kids. I say they're living in Disneyland because I grew up with my mom in a small little apartment, and they live in a big old house. But you know what? I think it's what we teach them. I think you hit it on the head earlier. You're going to kind of share your knowledge with your son or your daughter, and hope that you're giving them that information so they can make better decisions.
Exactly.
Right. We're hoping, yeah, I agree. I agree to the extent that the hard work ethic, like we talk about, isn't something we promote as much. I don't think it's gone, but I think it's something we don't talk about enough. Again, I think we need to bring that back. And I don't think the young people are necessarily all entitled, but I think that because of all the social media showing them things are easier than what they really are, I do think that we need to get back to what made us different in America, which was, hey, you can do anything you want, but you gotta work for it, and it's gonna be worth it when you're done.
You got to take the punches, man. Like I tell people all this all the time. You can do whatever you want, but you got to be willing to take the hits, and you got to be willing to fall down. Whenever you fall down, get back up. You know what I'm saying? Don't. Well, go ahead.
I think social media really highlights mistakes, right? Which limit the opportunity to learn. I think you were saying that before. Like if you can't make a mistake and then learn how to recover, then you're in trouble. Exactly. So we have to be able to make mistakes, and we have to be brave enough to make them so we can learn something from them. And I think that's, what everyone's doing in this big diversity push is like, hey, listen, we're not sure what's going to work.
Yeah.
Try some things, and don't kill us if it doesn't work the first time. Yeah. Let's go ahead and let us make a mistake, and let's all get together and talk about what we learned from it and move forward.
Definitely, man. Chris, this has been a pleasure talking to you, man. I really am excited about your new position. Kudos to you and everything. Where can the people find you at, man?
Well, I'm always on LinkedIn, just Chris Montgomery there. But you can find me at azgolf.org. I'm in the Arizona Golf Association. I'm on the staff page. You can find me there. But feel free to, my email's on there, cmontgomery@azgolf.org. And I'm more than happy to talk to people who are, looking to do good things and big things, and, help them navigate. Like you said, I love the word navigate, by the way. That's going to stick with me all day. Yeah. It's true. You got to learn all that. But I'm available for questions. I might not get back to people right away, but that's a good thing, because that means I'm busy.